I'm Vinny Politan. Great to have you here tonight on Closing Arguments, and we have a lot of stories to get to. But let me show you an image of a young woman who lost her life. There she is. Her name is Halyna Hutchins. She was a cinematographer, worked hard, working on movies, is a mom, a wife, someone who was living her dream, making movies and having a family. And tonight, she's not alive. She should be alive. And our thoughts are with her family this evening. I wanted you to see her first before we get into our discussion tonight, because here on Court TV, we talk about facts, we talk about law. We're going to break down what all of this means. But let's not lose sight of this incredible loss for this family tonight. Now, the person responsible for her death, the one who fired the weapon that killed her, is Alec Baldwin. Here he is. He was in the midst of producing and filming and starring in what's been described as a low-budget movie. And they're out in Santa Fe. Here's what he has tweeted out, his first tweet since this fatal shooting. There are no words to convey my shock and sadness regarding the tragic accident that took the life of Halyna Hutchins, a wife, mother, and deeply admired colleague of ours. I'm fully cooperating with the police investigation to address how this tragedy occurred, and I am in touch with her husband, offering my support to him and his family. My heart is broken for her husband, their son, and all who knew and loved Halyna. This is a difficult one. This is a difficult one. This is not some murder plot. No, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about people that were at work making a movie. Let me show you the scene. This is it. The name of the movie is called Rust. It was a Western-style movie shot outside of Santa Fe in New Mexico, and that's where it took place. So how could this happen? How could what they're referring to as a prop gun be responsible for taking the life of the cinematographer and also striking the director? Two victims here. The director survived, but as you know, Halyna did not. Let me bring in a special guest to try to give us some perspective of what happens on movie sets, because I have no idea, never been there. Joining us from New York, film director with Rosso Films International, who is currently filming a World War II movie called Subject A. Laura Pellegrini is with us. Laura, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let me begin first with this word that has been tossed around a lot that creates a lot of confusion, prop gun. What is a prop gun? What does that mean when someone says it was a prop gun?
Well, I think the deceptive thing about the term prop gun is that it actually isn't a prop. There are real guns that are used on movie sets. And Stefano DeFrey, my filmmaking partner, we've done a ton of films, worked on a bunch of movie sets where we have used prop guns on set. And basically, in order to ensure the safest conditions, you need to have licensed armorers on set who are tightly managing those
licensed.
prop guns.
Wait. Go a little slower here. Licensed what?
Sure.
What'd you call them?
Licensed armorers. Typically in film, we call them weapons masters, and they're specifically in charge of regulating prop guns on set, because any random person who would take control of a gun wouldn't know what to do. So they have to take them through the protocol of how to do it safely, so that when you fire a blank, for instance, you don't shoot someone at close range and potentially either injure them really badly or kill them.
I want to put up on the screen something from an LA Times article which grabbed a lot of attention here. And it says, a live single round was accidentally fired on set by the principal actor, hitting both the director of photography, Local 600 member Halyna Hutchins, and director Joel Souza. Both were rushed to the hospital, said an email sent to members of Local 44, a North Hollywood-based chapter of the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. A source close to the union told the Times that it does not know what projectile was in the gun. The source also clarified that live, in reference to a live single round, is an industry term that refers to a gun being loaded with some material such as a blank ready for filming. What's your understanding? What are the terms that are used, and have you on your sets ever used that term live single round?
Well, we have, but the interesting question that's brought up is what materials could be in the gun. Chances are that this gun was loaded with blanks, which doesn't have bullets in it. Let me make that clear. There are maybe dummy bullets that they replace with actual bullets, but it can still be dangerous even if you have a blank because they involve gunpowder. And there's a cartridge with paper wadding and wax, which is meant to provide kind of a realistic looking flame and spark when someone shoots the gun because you want to produce the most quote unquote realistic effect. But there again, if not handled properly and if not taught how to handle it properly, it can burn someone's hand. And that's where safety coordinators, that's where their job is super important, where they do need to step in and intervene.
Okay, let's get to some of the facts here now. There's
Sure.
in a warrant that was filed and being reported on tonight, talked about that the assistant director allegedly handed the gun to Alec Baldwin saying it's a cold gun. What does that mean? And what would be the expectation of someone being handed a gun that's a cold gun? And why would the assistant director be handing that to the actor?
So if he said that it was a cold gun, chances are it either happened, let's say a couple hours beforehand, or wasn't tested in an open range to make sure that A, it works, and that B, it doesn't hit anyone. Whereas if it was a hot gun, that would have meant that it had been tested and that they'd have to not use it right away.
Wait.
Cool
Okay,
down.
this I'm trying to understand now. So there's a term that is used on the set: hot gun, cold gun, and it doesn't have to do with what's inside the gun. It has to do with the testing that is done on the gun.
Correct.
So what does cold mean?
Cold means that it hasn't been used.
So
Wouldn't
would
be in use.
perceive a cold gun as being more or less dangerous than a hot gun? I'm still not 100% clear here.
Well, if it's a cold gun, like I said, chances are it hasn't been tested in an open range. So the thing is, if anything, you'd want to test it, right? Which would then make it a hot gun, and then you see, oh, okay, we tested it. It's okay. All lanes are clear for us to use this, right?
So on the movie sets you've been on,
Yeah.
what I'm getting from you right now, because this is important. All these terms are brand new to everyone that's listening tonight, except the actors and people who've worked on movies. Cold means untested. I don't know what's in that gun. Hot means they tested it on the open range and we cleared that it's safe to be used. Those terms have nothing to do with whether or not it's loaded with blanks or completely empty.
Not necessarily. No.
Is there any chance that these terms can be used differently on different sets and might mean different things to different people? That's a problem. That's a huge problem.
That is a problem because then you don't create a unanimous understanding of what that means, right? So then you have sets that are operating according to their own quote unquote protocol where there's no kind of blanket protocol for every set to abide by. And yes, that does become a problem, naturally.
Let me ask you about the assistant director being the one handing the weapon. Now, there's another whole story and narrative of what was going on in that set involving unions walking out, et cetera. We're not getting into that tonight.
Sure.
But shouldn't this weapons master be the person who is handing the weapon to the actor? Why should there really be a middle person who is making these decisions on, here, take this gun, it's cold?
It really, to your credit, it should be delegated to someone who is in charge of the prop mastery. And in this case, because there's a weapons master to assist with that, because you're dealing with a gun, then yes, it should have been delegated that way. Because an assistant director should be, keeping tabs of everyone on set, making sure that, the director is reaching his or her day, things like that, not dealing with a gun, not dealing with a gun prop on set.
All right. Before I leave, from your perspective, you heard this story. You heard what happened.
Yes.
What was your reaction, your thoughts? Because you've actually done movies with prop guns.
Right.
What's your takeaway here? What went wrong?
My immediate reaction, and Stefano, my business partner and film partner, our immediate reaction was, of course, one of complete shock and poignancy. Also, too, because this isn't the first time that this has happened. We're sitting here thinking about our own values as filmmakers and what we do to make our environments on our sets really, really safe. So when you don't see that necessarily reflected in another set that perhaps has a higher budget, then it calls into question the safety protocols that now need to move forward to make sets 100% priority safe under any condition, no matter the type of film that you're doing. But especially if you're dealing with a film of this nature.
Laura Pellegrini, I know you're in the midst of shooting a movie, so we really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, folks, there's an investigation taking place. Here's what the first judicial district attorney released today, Mary Carmack Altwies. This case is still in its preliminary states of investigation. We are assisting the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office and have offered our full support to them. At this time, we do not know if charges will be filed. We will look into all facts and evidence of the case with great discretion and have further information at a later time. Our thoughts are all with all affected by this tragedy. Okay, so as we sit here tonight, this definitely seems like an accident. And some of these facts aren't 100% clear, but it seems like obviously something went wrong. Otherwise, she would be alive tonight. This never would have happened. So when does an accident become criminal? Okay, that's what I want to talk about right now. There is a case we are tracking, a big trial that we are tracking here on Court TV right now, where it is an accident that has been charged as a crime. And that was the shooting of Dante Wright in the middle of the trial of Derek Chauvin. Remember the 57-second video? Let me show it to you again. This is an officer, Kim Potter, who is yelling, "Taser, taser, taser," but doesn't have a taser in her hand. She has her service weapon, shoots and kills Dante Wright. Take a look. That was charged as a crime. The prosecutor looked at it and said, okay, maybe accidental, not murder, but that is manslaughter, that is a crime, and that trial is going forward. Let me bring in my think tank tonight. Joining us in New York, New York, former senior homicide prosecutor Bernardo Villalona, in Cleveland, Ohio, criminal defense attorney and law professor at Cleveland State, Ian Friedman, and in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney Eklund Mercy. Welcome to you all. Bernardo, I'll begin with you, former homicide prosecutor, senior homicide prosecutor. I want to take what has happened on the set of this movie. Clearly, at this point at least, seems accidental. No evidence anyone purposely did anything here. When does an accident become a crime? How is this the same or different than the way the case of Officer Kim Potter was analyzed?
So in regards to Mr. Baldwin, it's completely different from Officer Potter because when
wait, let me just put this out here. When I say criminal responsibility, I'm not saying any particular name. A lot of hands on that gun. So we're not focused on Alec Baldwin. We're focused on anyone who could be potentially criminally liable for that shooting death that should not have happened. Go ahead.
So the huge difference that when we're dealing with Kim Potter, we're dealing with an officer, meaning that this officer had 20 years of experience of having to deal
let me
with
interrupt you one more
firearm.
time. Let me interrupt you one more time. I'm going to be very interruptive tonight. Wouldn't the weapons master be trained? Isn't there one job? The one job of the weapons master is to make sure there is not a live round handed to an actor?
Well, yeah, if we're dealing with possibly charging the weapon master.
I said anybody.
Right now,
I said anybody.
But we're not dealing with that right now. There has been no news regarding that there was a weapons master that passed the gun to, hypothetically, Mr. Baldwin. What you heard is that it was an assistant director, which is kind of confusing because it goes to show you that there is some kind of, I'll say, civil liability so far in that case, because normally who should be passing off the gun is a weapons master. And that is not what took place in that case, where unfortunately this young actor was killed. Again, when we compare it to Kim Potter, a trained expert who should have known better. So that is the huge difference when we're
But
taking
this
it
is
out
this
of
is
a
the part
civil
that I
realm.
don't understand the difference. I'm agreeing with you. Kim Potter should have known better. Shouldn't whoever is in charge of prop guns know better? Isn't that their job? Whoever it is, whether it's the assistant director, the prop master, the people who brought that gun onto the set, shouldn't someone have known that you don't bring a gun with a live round onto a set of a Western? Someone's going to get killed.
So I agree with you, Vinny. I agree with you when we're dealing with the weapon masters, but when we're dealing with
Okay,
regular
wait. Let me
civilians
stop you
and
right there. You're
actors,
agreeing with
different.
me. Let's go to Eklund Mercy, because she never agrees with me.
I don't. Not today either. But it's okay. I have a better example. I have a better similar story. Remember Brendan, son, who was murdered on the set of The Crow? It had the same. It's the facts are almost identical. In which Brandon Lee was on the set of The Crow, and they had a prop gun, and the prop gun was supposed to have blanks, but or the blanks were defective, and he was shot on the set, and it was an accident. That actor that shot him was free to do many movies and many shows afterwards. So it was an accident. With regards to the weapons master,
But Eklund, those were defective blanks. Like, it seems like they did everything right, but the blanks
and
themselves
the
were
same
defective.
thing here. An accident is an accident is an accident. The issue here is that once the assistant director took it upon themselves to put a hand in an actor's hand, knowing that the next thing that he's going to do is shoot, and based on who was injured and killed. So essentially they were actually shooting. So I mean, if they're like right in front of Alec Baldwin, that was an accident. So the issue is that the person probably overstepped, did somebody else's job they weren't supposed to, and this is the issue. And but also we have to also consider the fact that you're filming films. It's a low budget film, so we don't know how many people are on the crew. Then we have to deal with new things, that this film was being made during COVID. So there's a lot of other protocols that they're actually doing. The situation with Brandon Lee happened in 1993. So of course people don't remember that, but I remember exactly like when it happened. All guns were being checked. People
Echo, I'm just going to cut you off because
sure.
I'm out of time, but I've got to give at least 30 seconds to Ian Freeman.
Okay.
We lost his connection for a second. Ian, go ahead.
I don't see anything with the information that we have right now that would suggest that charges are to come. However, the prosecutor's office is going to look through this methodically. They're going to look to see whether or not anyone reached a level of culpability, negligence, recklessness, whether they're going to look at Baldwin first. Did he do anything that would have caused him to be conducting himself criminally? The person before him who handed the gun, the weapons expert before that, everybody in that line of succession and the handling of that gun will be looked at. And if it is an accident, no one will be charged. If anyone did anything that would rise to the level anywhere in that chain, then we may see something different. But as we stand here today, the authorities have been very clear that there's nothing to suggest that this is anything more than a tragic accident. It will be a civil case, certainly.
Oh, the civil case is over already. I mean, liability is clear. It's just adding up damages and who's going to pay it. All right.
I'm not seeing criminal. That's right.
Okay, we'll see how things develop again tonight. No one's been named as suspect. The whole thing is developing. We're still getting the facts of the case. We don't know what type of gun it was. We don't even know what was inside the gun yet, and we'll continue to follow it.